Social engineering techniques. Let's talk a little bit about the various aspects or phases of an attack. Where should we start and what do we need to do to pull off a successful social engineering campaign? First, we need to research the organization and its employees. The more information we learn about them, the clearer the remaining steps become. For example, let's say we uncover that the company is using a vulnerable piece of software. This software may be listed on a job posting, or you may find an invoice for it in the dumpster, or by using a form of passive reconnaissance. Now that we know more about the company and its people, we can identify the target or set of targets that we're going to attempt to extract information from. These targets are chosen based on the fact that they can help get us closer to our goal. Next, we're going to write a pretext. This is the backstory and the script that we will use to start building a relationship with our target. This helps build the trust we need in order to accomplish our attack. The last aspect of the attack is the actual exploitation of the relationship we have established with the target. This is what gets us in the door or provides us the detailed information that we're looking for. The pretext is an important part of your attack. It's the detail for why you're engaging with the target. This backstory should be detailed enough and logical enough for the target to come to conclusions on their own about why you're asking them to perform a particular task. For example, say that you needed to get someone to insert a flash drive into their PC. What sort of pretext could you use? Well, if you wander into their office with a pile of documents that are soggy and dripping with coffee and offer up a story about how you hit the brakes while driving over here, spilled coffee all over the place, and how these super important documents must get to the CEO of your company ASAP, you would probably be believable. After all, you're in front of them with a pile of wet paper. Now you can ask if your target would mind printing out a fresh set of documents you happen to have on this thumb drive. If you look worried enough, likable enough, and have established some sort of rapport and trust with the user, they are inclined to help you, even if the company has a specific policy forbidding the use of external flash drives. Okay, so let's unpack that. The script or pretext is the backstory that we're following. Let's assume that our goal is to walk into Company X and get someone to plug our thumb drive into their computer. We can then get a remote shell and establish a foothold. In this script, we should identify how our story will help us get to our goal. You need to consider who your targets are and how they're going to respond. For example, handing a thumb drive to a janitor or a security guard and asking them to print something out probably won't work. But if your target is the office admin, you have a fair shot. The story you put together must help you achieve the goal. Spilled coffee all over super important documents meant for the CEO doesn't directly do that, but it can logically lead the target to your request of printing out a fresh set as a totally proper action for you to take based on the circumstances. It's not suspicious, you're in a jam. The hook is the reason why the target engages with you. In this case, it's clear you're in trouble and that you have stuff for the CEO of the company. You may look pathetic or be very charming and likable, and all of these things help the target make the decision to help you or not. If you're looking rather pathetic with your pile of wet documents and you're about to start crying, knowing that you're extremely close to losing your job, they may take pity on you, or if you're extremely nice, they may help you simply because they like you. Now, this doesn't have to be done in person. In fact, most social engineering attack vectors are usually not done in person at all. The first, called phishing, is one that you're probably most familiar with. Phishing is most prevalent through email, but can be done through instant messenger or via social networks as well. It involves sending requests using some form of deception in an effort to elicit information. For example, this could be an email pretending to be from Microsoft asking you to log in and confirm something in your Office 365 account. Typically, phishing attacks are sent out en masse, with small percentages falling for it while the rest of us realize that it's a scam. Other variations of this include spear phishing, which target very specific individuals such as brand new employees who may not know better. Spear phishing emails are more customized to be more believable to the intended target so that new employees may get a welcome note from their CEO asking them to do something as a special project. And speaking of CEOs, whaling is another form of phishing that targets senior executives such as CEOs with the same intent. Phishing is similar, except that it's done using voice communication. Typically, these are phone calls that impersonate someone. Ever receive a call from the IRS or your local sheriff? In both cases, they want you to call and provide information in order for you to avoid fines or jail. Smishing is another form of attack. This one is popular, attempting to get you to circumvent your two-factor authentication as it takes place over SMS. You may get a text from your IT department asking you to provide the token you just received. In fact, the attacker is logging into your account because your username and password were somehow compromised, and they are looking for that 2FA token to complete the login process. Impersonation is another vector that is used frequently. Physical impersonation can include impersonation of utility workers, IT, or even executive staff. Digital impersonation could be in the form of phishing attacks that pretend to be emailed from Microsoft or can be cloned websites that look like the real thing. In all cases, providing your details here will get your actual accounts compromised, which is something we're going to look at next. In this demo, we're going to look at some of these attack vectors in action. First, we'll review a typical phishing email, and then we'll look at a tool called WinHTTrack, which will let us clone an entire website with just a few clicks. Here's an example of a phishing email. I have two examples to demonstrate with today, and I wanted to break them down and show you why they're effective. Both examples are from security awareness training that I did a few months back for an organization. As part of that, I used the service to send out phishing emails in an effort to see how many people would click on the email training. The statistics were not all bad, with 40% of the recipients reporting this as spam almost immediately. Roughly 50% completely ignored it or deleted it, but the remaining 10% either interacted with this message or clicked on the links within it at least once. To protect the innocent, I've replaced dates, names, and IP addresses with sample data, and to make it easier to demonstrate, I've extracted the emails out of Outlook and saved them as HTML. That's what we're looking at here. Our first case is this password change email, supposedly from Microsoft. Most phishing campaigns are designed to get you to act. In most cases, the action requires you to log in and update something or confirm something within the sender's portal. The process of logging in, of course, exposes your credentials to the attacker. This is because the site you're logging into belongs to the attacker, not the actual vendor. So in this case, we see a reference to Microsoft accounts and a big message saying that your password has been changed. This, however, can be anything. Jira accounts, Adobe accounts, any of the vendors used by organizations can replace Microsoft in this scenario. The email proceeds to tell you that someone using an iOS device in Safari changed your password. The message also tells you that you can ignore this if this is the action that you started yourself. Since it wasn't you, your immediate reaction is to get online and try to log in. All of the links here point to msupdate.net website, which is not Microsoft.com. Additionally, looking at the specifics of the link, you can see that route PHP is being called. PHP on a Microsoft site? I've never seen that. So what are the dead giveaways? Yes, msupdate.net is the first. It's not Microsoft.com. Lack of the Microsoft logo is another. Poorly constructed and written. Compare this to the actual emails that you get from Microsoft. Here's an example. Note the use of the Office 365 logo, the Microsoft logo, and the difference in formatting. Additionally, why is information spelled as info? I would bet Microsoft writes the full word out. These messages are typically action-oriented. While the messaging plays it cool with "you can ignore this" and "you can opt out," it really wants you to be caught off guard and click on any of the links to update your password. Here's another example. They do use the UPS logo and the correct colors, but just like with the Microsoft email, it's poorly written. Uses shipment-status.com instead of ups.com, and is trying to get you to click on the link to take the next steps. That next step is usually a website that asks you to log in. It has to look legitimate in order to work. So how do they pull that off? Website cloning is one of the easier techniques in the social engineering arsenal. Let's take a closer look at that. HTTrack is a free open source utility for copying websites. This tool has been around for years and is designed to navigate through all of the links on a given website and download the content to your local hard drive. You can configure it to download images, style sheets, or just the raw HTML files. From the download section, choose the setup package best suited for your environment, then download and install the software. For this example, I'm going to concentrate on the UPS.com login screen. I would like to clone that because as an attacker, if I send out phishing emails targeting UPS customers, I can use that login screen to collect credentials. Remember that I don't need the entire UPS website. I need just enough to grab the credentials. Once I have the HTML files, I can simply edit them, add my own back-end processing that captures the information I'm looking for, host it on shipmentstatus.com, and I'm ready to send out my emails. HTTrack is wizard-based. We're going to walk through this wizard. Enter UPS and note the path where the sites will be stored. Enter the path for the site you want to download and complete the process. There are many more options available within the utility. I only went through the default set, and as you can see, it's now downloading the software to the computer. Okay, the process is complete, and we can look at the mirrored website. And here is the UPS cloned website. As you can see, it looks just like the real thing. But if you look at the address bar, you'll see that it's file-based URL and not actually ups.com. From here, I can edit this HTML, make the changes that I need, and deploy.